Hello, everybody. My name is Altan Demirkaya. I'm a manager of global travel and the director at Skal Vancouver. Welcome to the Tourism Talks, where we will talk to industry leaders across the globe about the coronavirus, the future of travel and tourism, and some of their own personal experiences through this crisis. Today, I'm very excited and honored to introduce my guest, an acting dean of Economic and Administrative Sciences at Batman University, an honorary member of Sci Turkey, and a member of Skal Marmara, Troit, and Tuadar. Professor Dr. Onur Gulbahar. It's great to see you, Onur. It's a pleasure to have you.
Hello. Hello, Altan. Hello, everyone.
Madam Onur, before we begin to talk about future of tourism, can you tell us a little bit about your involvement in tourism?
Yeah. In fact, it will be a little bit of going through milestones of Turkish tourism, explaining my background in the industry. I have to start with the uprising of Turkish tourism in 1980s. So after the military coup in 1980 in Turkey, the government has changed, and a very important milestone in Turkey has occurred, and that was the publishment of Tourism Encouragement Law in 1982. With that law, they have announced the tourism region from west coast of Turkey through the Mediterranean coast, and the government has supported the investments, especially in those areas. So a lot of investors, seeing that potential, have gone to that region and made investments, especially hotel investments, at the beginning of 80s, through the midst of 80s. And that's when I met the industry. Of course, I was a little boy, and I was a student then. Started learning English, and I remember in 1985, after the prep class, one of the investors was one of my cousins who was working in Germany, and she has brought her marks, day marks, Deutsche Marks, to Turkey, to Antalya, to Beldibi, in Kemer region, and she invested for a hotel, for a little hotel. That's when I met that region and the tourism industry in 1985. So that's when the uprising of Turkish tourism begins in 1980s, the midst of 1980s. And I remember that sitting with an elder elder person who was working in a hotel then. He was a bellboy, and at that time the income was exclusively high. He was saying that I don't care about my salary. The tips is the main income for me. So I can buy a car, I can buy my house in the near future. So I don't care about my salary, he was saying. So that attracted me a lot. And of course, I started speaking English then, and I remember that making a simultaneous translation between the host of a restaurant and a couple from Sweden who couldn't speak German, because all the people were Germans there, all the tourists were German speaking, and all the staff spoke German language. and back then no one could speak English but me, luckily. So it attracted me, and I decided, yeah, I will be in this industry. I said to myself. I was then a little student. So, and then university times came, and I have, of course, in Turkey, there is an entrance exam. There was an entrance exam, and we made our choices prior to the exam. And I have entered to economics department in Istanbul University, although I wanted to be in tourism industry. So I was not so satisfied then, but in those periods, the summer times, I was going to Antalya to work in summer in the hotels, because my plan was start from a hotel as a bellboy,
Yes.
win lots of tips, and then go through those stages and end up with being an international hotel manager. That was my goal. So in the university period, I started working in the industry part-time, and then I passed to Romanian Air Transport in Istanbul, the office, main office of Romanian Air Transport, and I started selling tickets, working part-time, and I have developed my merits and became a vice station manager at Romanian Air Transport in Istanbul, and it was so exciting to work at the airport, and like a poison, it was like a poison to me. And then I had a short time in Romania, in Bucharest. I have invested for a business with a colleague of mine for 2 years. It didn't work well. I didn't like that country, that city, Bucharest, so much. I missed Istanbul. And it was not the correct time for me then. So I came back to Istanbul, and I studied my master's in tourism management, and then continued for my Ph.D. degree in economics. And then, of course, at the beginning of 2000s, when I came back to Turkey, I started working in an incoming travel agency. We can call it tour operator, sort of tour operator, Mercan Travel, from 2000 to 2006 for about 6 years. And I started by reservations and ended up being a sales manager in Mercan Tourism. We were incoming tourists from Middle Eastern countries, and it was the most difficult market for me. And then I escaped from that market and passed to academical life. So, of course, before that, I was giving some lessons when I was working at the agency, but I passed to academical life full-time in 2006. But that's where we met, Altan, with my students and you. And of course, you know, parts of it. I didn't want to end my connection with the industry, tourism industry, because I love it. So I continued my memberships with the industry. I became a member in Skol International Marmara, I was in the executive committee in School International Marmara. I became member of several other clubs or associations in tourism. So I'm continuing my connection with the industry.
Yes.
What can I say?
I mean, Onur, you and I, we know each other very well. And
Yeah,
every time, I mean, when I listen to your story, you are a really true tourism professional for the fact that you were able to
thank you.
see all the parts of tourism industry, which is, I think, a unique thing. So that's a great
Thank you, but it's
background.
been almost 14 years so since I left the industry, but I try to catch up.
Uh, so, Onur, this crisis impacted our industry from all over the world, and every country is impacted differently, and every country is in different phase of this crisis. And I would like to get your opinion on how Turkey is managing this crisis. How is your view on that?
Uh, I think there are two dimensions for this. I can talk about health issues, managing the health issues part, and the other one is managing the tourism industry part. Uh, at first, we were not doing so well in general. Like the other countries, we have underestimated the danger and dimensions of this virus. Uh, I saw a research published in February about causes of mortality in the world. Uh, among the others, mortality due to the coronavirus, which we called then coronavirus, was almost nothing for us. So we have underestimated that, to be frank. And I thought personally it would be like SARS. It would be a regional virus and wouldn't last long. So maybe you remember that SARS was in Far Eastern countries and affected uh, those countries.
China.
So we benefited from that crisis, SARS crisis. But this one is not like that. This affected
Mhm.
the whole world. So in March, it turned to pandemic, and they named it COVID-19, and it spread first from China to Italy and to other countries. It was so horrible. The biggest mistake of Turkey was we were late to take necessary precautions about the pilgrims coming back from the Umrah from Mecca. I can say this is the main mistake for Turkey. We only quarantined the last group, so it was too late. The previous pilgrims came to Turkey and spread the virus all over the country. After that, we closed our borders immediately and quarantined the people coming from other countries. We also restricted intercity travels after that, and to and from 31 major cities. That's why I stayed in Batman. Now I'm in Batman. I couldn't go to Istanbul since I came back from Istanbul on 16th of March. So it's been more than two months that I'm trapped here in Batman. Uh, so hotels were closed. Most of the hotels were closed or decreased their capacity by about 80%.
Mhm.
Also, they decreased their staff capacity likewise. And then precautions started. Uh, I think after that mistake, the health dimension is doing very well. We are coping up with that spreading, and we have taken lots of precautions. Uh, if I can look at the numbers published,
Mhm.
I can say that we are doing pretty well.
Yes.
So now they are telling that we passed the first phase and we are in the second phase.
Mhm.
Uh, so Um, so the precautions are loosening up. But this is the time when I am so nervous about. You know that we are Turkish, we are Mediterranean, we are close to Middle East, we are like those people,
Yes.
those countries. So we say that nothing will happen to us. That's why I'm now living in Batman, the southeast of Turkey, and I see people outside, and they are not caring about the distance thing, and I'm so concerned about that. I don't like the term social distancing. I must say physical distancing.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Because we still need to be social, so
I like being social, so I can't be social distance. Social distance. Physical distancing is okay. And so in tourism part, of course, the ministry and the associations are working on it. And as I said, the hotels are closed. The traveling is almost banned, intercity and of course internationally. So lately, the Ministry of Tourism has published a circular, the rules to obey, and then recently they have published the checklist of a health hygiene certificate for hotels. Of course, you follow it.
Yes.
You know the details, and I learned that, of course, due to the number of rooms and everything else, the fee for this certificate changes from 400 Turkish liras to 2,600 Turkish liras plus VAT per month. So they say that an inspection from they have chosen 5 or 6 international audit companies for this, for inspection, who applies to this certificate, because it will be, this certificate will be advantageous for the property.
Yes.
I will count on that property who has this certificate, because there is a long checklist, I'm sure.
Yes.
And then, like the normal times, there will be some ghost clients to those hotels who has got this certificate. And if he sees something bad, something missing, they will cancel it within 3 days.
Wow.
If they don't, if they don't take these precautions and catch up. So this cost is only for the certificate, and then there is an investment cost for this, like temperature measurements. Will it be manual thermometers, or will it be thermal cameras, medical masks, and the precautions for physical distance and everything. So that will have an investment cost. So of course this is not mandatory. This certificate is not mandatory. But
which is actually amazing, and comparing other countries. So I think the recovery rate is about, I'm not quite sure, I didn't make my calculation, but I think it's about 80% or something, roughly, maybe more or less.
If you count on the numbers, of course.
Yes, for the published numbers. And and I think Turkey is one of the first countries that announced the certification of this virus, I think, which is very important for the travelers. And I know that these are difficult times for our industry, and we need to work to gain the trust of the guests and travelers. And Turkey announced the certification, I think, which is very important to build that trust. so people feel more comfortable to stay in the hotels. I think this is a great initiative for our industry.
Yeah, I think that Turkey has built that trust because there is a the toll went on among the travel agents, international travel agents, and they said Turkey is one of the first country who will be visited internationally.
And since this certification is not mandatory, I'm sure majority of hotels will want to get the certificate. I think it is important for reputation management as well. Onur, so let's talk about future. What is your view on post-COVID? So how will the future of tourism look like after all of this? What do you think?
Of course, I'm connecting to some webinars, meetings, and I keep saying that it seems to me that this is like a third world war. So it's a huge crisis. It's not like the others. And so the outcomes will be harsher than the others. World Tourism Organization says that international tourism declined by 22% in the first quarter of 2020. And they predict that it could decline by almost 80% the whole year. So it's a deep crisis. It's a huge crisis. So it will take longer time to come to ourselves, I must say. We have lived in several crises like September 11 attacks, SARS pandemic, and several regional problems. The problems Turkey has gone through, the problems other countries gone through, and we know that tourism is one of the first affected industries from those crises, and the recovery takes a long time in tourism industry, unfortunately. So I think so the flights will be starting, international flights will be starting in mid June or July. Some flights will start in August. Some flights will start in September, and it goes like that. It's very harsh on Italy, this pandemic. And as we know, United States couldn't take action so immediately like Turkey, and it's all spread around all over the country. So after COVID, I can say that we can recover in 2021 up to 2023. Let's be realistic. And about the future of tourism, of course, in every class, in every subject about tourism, we keep on saying that there are lots of tourism trends, and those crises, those incidents make new trends for international tourism. Like the economic problems at the beginning of the new millennium created new trends, and then September 11 attacks created new trends. What happened? Airlines went bankruptcy at first, and then people didn't feel secure flying, so they started going to nearby destinations for a shorter time. Intercity travel was popular then. And then by the help of low-cost airlines, the airline industry caught up. And then now it's, and within 1 or 2 years, the problems were solved for international flights, international airlines. So this period, I think, will speed up technological trends. For instance, VR technologies, I don't like it. I like to touch it physically, see it closely. So I don't like VR technologies. In the EMIT exhibition, they have stand
Yeah.
for VR technologies. I didn't use it. I didn't try it. But we have to catch up with virtual tours, of course. The online check-ins will be popular. Robotic solutions will be popular. Online meetings for some time. Because this industry, event industry, meeting industry, is not just the building, or is not. It's not just the meeting organization. It covers lots of supporters, lots of stakeholders, like technologies, voice technologies, shows, entertainment, catering, mapping, other technologies, simultaneous translations, press, transfers, hotels, congress centers, food and beverage. So it supports lots of subsectors. So there will be online meetings, of course, like we are doing in this period. I am attending webinars and other meetings, of course. I feel lucky myself because I'm in Batman. Normally, I wouldn't be with them. But through these online meetings, I can be with everyone. I can see everyone.
Yes.
So there will be distance working and holiday environment post-COVID. But about event industry, of course, there are fixed costs in event industry. Doesn't matter, your audience is 50 people, attendance is 50 or 150 or 500. So there are some fixed costs, the one I have mentioned. So people of traveling abroad because of age, because of others, because of health problems like this pandemic. Some people may connect to the meetings online. Let's say keynote speakers may speak like this. But after some time, it will get normal. I don't like the word new normal again. But I think we will catch up with the technological trends. I am trying to follow the science fiction movies, and they are telling about really our future. The people are eating, the people having their lunch by pills, and they are creating some other worlds, some other colonies outside this world. They are traveling to other systems. So I think we are going that way.
Yes.
And we have to follow those science fiction.
Thank you, Onur. And as you said, looking at the numbers or the impact of this crisis on tourism, I think this crisis has been the worst crisis amongst the World War II. And I know that one of the CEOs of the hotel companies, he said that this is the worst one, worse than World War and 9/11. And the impact on tourism is, of course, it's our industry hit very hardly, and of course we need to stay positive. And we have faced different crises before, and we always we overcame all the crises, and we will overcome this as well. And as you said, I think there are opportunities in terms of improving our operations, because every time when we have a crisis, I think we have takeaways from that crisis, and we build new operations. We improve our operations, as you said. And I think the new technology will be a big trend. And I like the fact that you said you don't like the word new normal. And I agree with you. I'm not quite sure what the new normal is, but we can say that there will be new type of tourism, I think, in the future. Maybe we will start traveling to the space. I'm not quite sure. But as tourism professionals, we are always creative, and I'm sure we will find a solution to all the crises that we will see in the future too. And because we have to, and because tourism is one of the main drivers of the economies in the world, and unfortunately is the last one to recover. But we will overcome this for sure.
Yeah, eventually. Yes.
Yes. Onur,
I have to say something about all-inclusive thing. There will be some positive outcomes after this COVID-19. One of them is all-inclusive. The industry, the hoteliers don't like all-inclusive, the concept of all-inclusive. The managers don't like, because, as you know, the tourist comes to the property, stays there for 2 weeks and doesn't go out, doesn't go to shopping, doesn't go to see environment. So there's an argument going on since the beginning of 2000 to set standards for all-inclusive, but it didn't happen. So with this crisis, with this health issues thing, all-inclusive can change, and the demand for all-inclusive can decrease. So we can work with other solutions. For Turkey, it would be maybe, of course, the increasing of Turkish tourism. We see that all-inclusive helped a lot, the increasing of the number of tourists. So, of course, we are thankful for all-inclusive, but we have to set some standards. And of course, the type of traveling will be changing. Family boutique and family travels will be popular, I think. And of course, the international chain hotels or chain hotels, big hotels, have to take precautions like this certificate thing. So yes. Good things will happen after this COVID, I think.
Thank you.
As well.
In terms of regarding all-inclusive service in Turkey, I would like to say that yes, it's always good to go out and discover what that destination has to offer, but I think at the same time we need to have that option for the travelers that looking for that kind of service specifically, maybe rather than banning all-inclusive service. Because I know that, for instance, it's over here in North America, Mexico is one of the popular destinations in North America with all-inclusive service. I know that people go there specifically to stay and get all-inclusive service. But I think we need to set high standards, as you said, Onur. I think this could be, I mean, we could discuss this, I think, another time as well, but I think maybe for those hotels that have high standards for all-inclusive, maybe they should be the ones that are offering this service to have high hygiene standards.
I agree with you. Totally.
So the other most important thing to talk about is the education system. So how this crisis affected the education system and students, Onur. So we have 8 minutes left, and if we cannot cover the whole topic, we can continue in the second round.
Yeah.
I'll try to speed up for this question, and then we will continue for the others. So the main thing affected during this period is the hands-on education, the semester internships, the summer internships, as the hotels and travel agencies are closed down and reduced to 20%. So the internships are impossible now. So there are lots of job losses. During this huge job losses, of course, we cannot think about this education, hands-on education thing. So we have turned to schools. We couldn't turn to schools, of course. We have turned to online education. So we had to catch up with the technology trends in education as well. There are, of course, some universities who are running distance education, online education in Turkey, but we were, of course, doing face-to-face education. So it's shut down. It was shut down since 16th of March. So we have completed the semester. We are making our exams online, and then I have learned that Cambridge University and some universities will start face-to-face education in the summer of 2021, next year. So this is a very important point. So this tells lots of things to us. So I'm worried about the next semester in that sense. That we will continue online classes in the next semester. So we are trying to get used to technology and videos and online education, recording, those kinds of meetings. And I am telling my students to follow those webinars, these kinds of webinars. I'm sure they will benefit from those online meetings. Yes. About the industry. So how many minutes do we have left?
I think we have 5 more minutes, Onur.
Okay. And so there are lots of things to solve about education. Because as I'm an acting dean at a university, I am following the trends about education. So the trend in international education is a blended education, both in the classroom and online education. So likewise, like the tourism industry, we have to catch up with the technological trends in education. So I was shocked that the whole Turkish universities started online education within the month of March. So we have started our education on 23rd of. Yeah, it was very quick. On 23rd of March, some of the others started the next week. Mm-hmm. So by the end of March, we have started online education. Of course, there are cons and pros, of course, but we are trying our best. And then I'm sure that the next semester, the fall semester will be better.
Thank you, Onur.
For this education. You're welcome.
So thank you, Onur, for joining us again. So we just started a second round of our tourism talks with Professor Onur Gulbahar. Onur, as you said, this has been tough for students as well. And now over here, also the schools and colleges started online classes with students. And I was talking to an instructor the last time from Capilano University in Vancouver. He was also saying that it's an interesting experience for instructors, for teachers as well, for the fact that they don't have necessarily equipment home, so they may not have the best microphone and So he was talking about technical difficulties and how students shy to turn on their cameras, although it is not mandatory for students. But I think it could be challenging for students to engage in the class as well. Um, so yeah.
Of course, there are some different difficulties in this region. Some students are in their villages. They went back to their villages, and they don't have technical equipments. They don't have
Yes.
enough internet, Wi-Fi, so they cannot connect to the online courses. They cannot be online to make researches for their homeworks, or they cannot participate in the online exams. So I myself gave homeworks to them and said, you can write it by handwriting if you don't have the equipment and everything. So this is harder in this region.
Yes, it is.
For students.
Yes, absolutely. And I think being flexible is very important during this crisis, and you are being flexible to your students. And
I'm trying to.
I think, yes, we need to think of those that don't have necessary equipment due to geographic or financial reasons. And I think, as you said, we need to think about opportunities during this time. So I think students can check on the webinars, and there are some events that going on that
Yes.
normally wouldn't be live, online. So they can take an opportunity of those events. And I think they need to focus on their personal development during this time.
Absolutely.
They can still network with professionals from the industry online. They can talk to you, they can talk to me. I mean, there is still a way to make a difference in their lives. I think that's
Yes.
what they need to focus on during this time. We are hearing from the researchers that people don't want to travel to the places that are overcrowded. Do you think this crisis will change the trends? So Turkey is one of the most beautiful places in the world, and Turkey has awesome places for travelers. And of course, these destinations are crowded, and it gets crowded since it's popular. Do you think this crisis will change the trends?
Of course, as I said before, every crisis or every big incident create their own trends. So this COVID period will have its own travel trends, of course, focusing on technology, of course. But about traveling, traveling trends of people, the travelers, I think that for a period of time, people are going to intercity destinations within their country, and the summer houses, secondary houses, will be trend, and boutique houses and boutique service hotels will be rising trends, and people will escape from crowded places. So at least this summer season, they will try to do so. And so as I have to mention Turkey, we are one of the luckiest countries in the world. We are living on centuries. We are living on lots of ancient countries. So we have natural and historical infrastructure for tourism already. So of course the popular tourism trend towards Turkey is leisure tourism, sea, sand, sun, but because of the all-inclusive system, etc. Of course, thanks to all-inclusive, we have lots of visitors. I put it aside, but in the years in the 90s, not that kind of leisure tourism, but the popular thing was our historical background, Turkey's historical background, and especially cultural tourism. Cultural tourism was a trend in 90s. And because of these coastal investments and all-inclusive system, the focus shifted to those places. So we have cultural places all over. I am now living and working in southeastern Turkey. Southeast Turkey is a treasure about culture, about historical life, about ancient life. So the oldest settlement in the world so far has been found in this region, Göbekli Tepe in Şanlıurfa. So it is more than 12,000 years old.
That's
and we are attracting lots of domestic and international tourists to Göbekli Tepe. And lately, last year in 2019, they have found another place, settlement, which was used for a different reason, but it is said to be 1,000 years older than Göbekli Tepe. So it is about 13,000 years old. So we are living on a treasure. And even Turkish citizens don't know about it. I remember about learning about Göbekli Tepe in 10 years ago, maybe more than 10 years ago. I learned that the first publication, the first broadcast about Göbekli Tepe was done by international press, not us. And I remember that I think it was National Geographic magazine. The cover of one of the covers of National Geographic, International National Geographic, was Göbekli Tepe, and the same issue in Turkey, the cover of the same issue in Turkey was something else. So we don't appreciate those treasures in our lands, but they are very wealthy. So cultural tourism can be a trend in Turkey after this period. I hope that not only not only citizens of Turkey will visit those places, but international tourism flows will come to southeastern Turkey and will have the experience to see those beauties. And of course, the marketing thing is so crucial with this thing. So we have to think about better marketing for these cultural richness to international visitors. Not only eastern part of Turkey, southeastern part of Turkey, but the whole country, the whole Anatolia holds lots of history.
Yes.
So I recommend everyone to visit Turkey, Hatay, Hattuşa, and of course we know that Chinese people are cultural tourists. Japanese people are cultural tourists, and they have discovered Turkey. They have discovered Cappadocia, and they have discovered southeastern Turkey. But I think after this period, they will come to those regions more, and others, of course, other tourists.
Yes, and as you said, Onur, there will be new trends, and this could be temporarily or permanently. And there is always, how can I say, there is always passion in travel. There is always a reason to travel. There will be a reason to travel, and I don't think this will change ever. There is always, I mean, there are lots of places that we could travel, and I know that Turkey is one of the, again, most beautiful countries in the world, and
Yes.
it has a deep history. We talked about business a lot, Onur. So how are you managing this crisis personally? I know that you are staying home. We talked about gaining weight. So how is your
No,
experience?
I'm not gaining weight. I'm trying to keep fit, but yeah, of course, I'm at home. I'm away from Istanbul. I'm in Batman, where I am working. So I'm most of the time staying home, of course, working from home, following the news, following the TV news, and following the internet news, watching and participating webinars like this, online meetings, and going for a walk. I'm going out for shopping. Of course, if I was in, I wouldn't have go for trekking. Şimdi geliyor mu?
Evet.
I'm going for a walk. I'm going for shopping for a short time, of course, and I consider myself lucky in this period because I'm not in Istanbul. I have opportunity to go for trekking up hills in the nature and shooting photos. And I'm in Batman, so the most important or the most popular place in Batman is Isang Cave. I have to talk about Isang Cave, of course. They have built a dam called Ilısu Dam. So the water is rising. They have finished the dam, and the water is rising, and I am seeing a better scenery now by the river.
Nice.
So we are visiting by the river and shooting beautiful photos, and I'm trying to share this on Instagram and other platforms. Maybe you can see. So yeah, I'm trying to keep up. I'm trying to keep my psychology up. I'm trying to keep my chin up. So it's important to get together to keep my psychology high. So I think I'm doing pretty well.
Yes.
Of course, you have to ask the people around me, how am I doing? But I think I'm doing well so far. But I missed my family, Istanbul, and everything. Hopefully, the intercity flights will be opened at the beginning of June, 3rd of June or 4th of June. And as soon as the flights will operate, I will go to Istanbul. And of course, I am working here, but also as a tourism professional or ex-tourism professional, I'm trying to make marketing of this region, starting from Batman and Isang Cave. and I'm trying to make some meetings. We had a workshop at the beginning of January, and I have gathered the hoteliers and travel agents with the university staff to talk about the current situation in Batman and the problems for Batman tourism, and what can we do for solutions. So we would continue with these workshops, and after this period I'm sure we will continue doing that. And during this period, at the end of January, the exhibition of EMIT was held in Istanbul, International Tourism Exhibition of EMIT. You know that I'm trying to take my students there all the time, but not so much students. But this year from Batman, of course, not only for the to visit the exhibition, but to see Istanbul. Lots of students were volunteer, and I have brought about 40 students from Batman to Istanbul to the exhibition.
That's amazing.
Yeah, we were so popular in the exhibition hall that Batman University conquered the exhibition hall. For myself, I was happy. I was satisfied that my students were eager to visit that exhibition and trying to learn something. So we will continue doing those things. And I become happy when I'm doing something for the region, for Turkish tourism, for the tourism in Batman, and etc. So it's in my blood. I can't help it. So I'll try to continue wherever I go, how far I can go. Yeah.
Yes, that's awesome, Onur. I think you are managing this crisis very well, for sure. And again, I would like to thank you one more time for being so enthusiastic for your students and being there for them. I think, again, our industry needs professors or instructors or educators like yourself that help students to engage with professionals in the industry. This is very important for future of tourism. So, Onur, where would you travel first after this crisis? And the second question is, what is the most favorite place that you have traveled so far?
Of course, to Istanbul first, because I'm away from home. I'm in Batman. First to Istanbul, hopefully, and then I was not planning where would I travel for this year, but I may go to, of course, domestic travels will be safer. That's why I will go to Aegean coast of Turkey. And if I can, after some time, I'm planning to the Aegean coast of Greece, Greek islands.
Nice.
And another destination I was planning to go to is Portugal, Porto.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm so curious about Porto. One of my colleagues, Özen Hoca from Bosphorus University, has moved there to Porto, and
Nice.
She's telling good things. Of course, I have some information, but I am very curious about Porto. Portugal. I'm planning to go there, but I don't think this year that will happen. Maybe next year I will go to Porto. Yeah, first Istanbul, and then Aegean coast of Turkey, and then
Canada.
To Greek islands. Yeah.
You need to come to Canada to see us.
Yeah, of course. That's in my list. Canada is in my list, especially Vancouver.
Yes, we will be happy to welcome you.
I will be so happy to go come over there, because I had some other students who lived in Canada, and they have talked about the life there, and of course it's worth moving to. Canada is worth moving to. So maybe in the future, you remember we have talked about it,
Yeah.
and you invited me. Maybe in the future, in the near future, in 2 years or so, if I can go internationally, I may go to Canada.
Nice. Um,
And you have asked my favorite place, I
yeah.
think. Favorite place I have traveled to. Of course, I started my travels after leaving the industry, because during working in the industry, I had very limited time
Yeah.
for holiday, and of course, as I was working in the Middle Eastern market, summertime was impossible to go off. So I was going on holiday at the end of September or in the beginning of October. So as I had limited time, I was going to Antalya, to my family's summer house. And that's why I couldn't travel so much. After moving to academic life, I started traveling a lot, more than before. So far, I cannot name just one city, just one destination, but as it is, as I see it, I like Istanbul. I like Budapest. Uh, it is similar to Istanbul, like Bosphorus and the historical places, palaces, and other historical places nearby. So the Danube River and Buda part and Pesta part, the fishermen and the other places nearby the river. So Budapest is one of my popular cities so far. I like Bruges in Belgium. It's so cute and small and historical city. I think I'm a cultural tourist. Yeah. I like Heidelberg, where I have visited long time ago, and my parents lived there before I was born.
Oh.
And yeah, I feel connection to Heidelberg, but it's a very, very cute and very beautiful city. I like Krakow, another cultural city in Poland, and Vilnius. I liked Vilnius a lot in Lithuania. There are several reasons, but I may live in Vilnius. It's a small city and easy to go. Yeah, those cities: Budapest, Bruges, Heidelberg, Krakow, Prague, Vilnius. It goes on like this.
So you have traveled a lot, Onur, and I think
Not so much. I have traveled, I think, more than to 30 countries, but not far away. I haven't visited America. I haven't visited Far East, but
other than that,
North.
you have pretty much traveled all the regions. So that's amazing.
In Europe, mostly, yes.
And I think travel is the best thing to do in life. And I think as people from tourism, I think we are passionate about travel. We want to see new places. We want to
Yeah, there's
try.
a saying that we are working for travel.
Yes, that's true. And I mean, trying new food, learning new cultures, I think that's the best thing to do in life. And it's an experience. So, Onur, before we go and before we start our quick Turkish translation, I would like to get your message to our industry and your students or the students that are watching us?
Okay. For my message to, of course, not. I wish best of luck to our industry colleagues, and I hope this crisis will end in a very short time and everything will be settled down. And I hope, yeah, this at the end of this period, I hope that real professionals and the ones who have nothing else to do will stay in the industry, and everything will be better than before. And for students, for industry students, as I'm trying to do, networking is one of the important things in the industry. And what I'm trying to do is establish networking between academic life and the industry, the tourism industry. I'm trying hard for this. So networking is crucial.
Yes.
So try to have NGO memberships like Altan, like Young School, like other NGOs in tourism industry. As you know, the motto of Skoll is doing business among friends. So
Yes.
it's very important to have a network, and you have experienced that. You have met the highest ranked tourism professionals in your Young Skoll experience, as far as I remember.
Mm-hmm.
You have met world Skoll presidents.
Yes.
So, and I have watched one of them. Your first interview, I think, was former Skoll president, the world president.
Yes.
So networking is very important, and passion is very important. This is this industry, this labor is something you cannot do without loving, without passion. It's so hard. You give your hours, you give your days, you cannot switch off your phone. It rings at night, you work at 3, 4 a.m. So it's so hard to handle. So it's impossible to do it without loving, without passion. So if you don't feel that the same, try something else. And of course, there are people, there are things that prevent this from people, from students. They go for internship and they see that they run him, they run her for nothing. They don't teach anything. So the student hates the industry because of those people. So you have to have tools, as I told you before. You have to have language, foreign languages. You have to have mobile experience. You have to have computers, programming experience. You have to have some pluses to go forward. So I won't speak more. And lastly, to our fellow colleagues and all tourism industry stakeholders, colleagues everywhere, first, good health, and then happiness and friendship and long life.
Thank you so much.
You know what comes next.
Yes. With that being said, we just and continue to watch our live streams. bye bye deyip